Hi, this is Federico, and I'm answering a question about how to create a project like the one picture here, where we have a letter and then some text inside of that letter. And the idea is to turn it into an earring. So we also need to add a little hole for the finding. So I'm going to show you a couple of methods. Let's get started. I'm going to start with just a blank Cuddle project here. So let's start by grabbing some text from the left-hand side. I'm going to grab the text and place it on the center of the canvas. Then I'm going to get that letter C for the initial. And then for the size, I'm going to make it about 2 inches right now, but that size can change later. So just click here and made it 2. I want to find a font that is similar to the one in the sample here. So I did some looking, and the closest one I could find was this one. It's called Gravitas 1. Well, it's not exactly the closest one, but it gives me the most space here to fill things in. Another one that's similar is this one called Playfair Display. You can choose like different types, like the 900 will give us like a good space to fill. And then maybe this one, Frank Roll. Also try one of the kind of bigger ones, so we got more space to fill. But because the Gravitas one is the one that has the most space, I'm going to use that one. But you can adapt the technique however you see fit. All right, so next we want to create that text that fills here, it fills this kind of specific space. So I'm going to look for text on the left-hand side. And there is this special kind of text called on the warp text. There are a lot of types, but I'm gonna use the custom, so I get to edit exactly the shape. So I'm gonna grab it and place it roughly on the center. So now I'm gonna type on this custom text exactly the text that we want. So I'm gonna type chip in uppercase. Then we need to rotate it. So I'm gonna hover over this corner, then hold shift so it rotates exactly 90 degrees. Roughly place it where it needs to go. Now I need to edit the pad that contains this text. So I need to double click on the pad itself. So now I can do a couple of things. One, I can bend any lines in the pad. So when I hover over these, you'll see that the cursor gets a little kind of curvy icon. So I can click on that pad and make it bend like so. So I think my goal here is to kind of adapt it to this section. Then I can sort of bend the other side over here. I can also move anchors. So if I click on this anchor, I can move it like this. I can move it like that. So the idea is that I'm kind of trying to eye the shape. So I'm gonna move the anchors, then I can go back to bending it until I kind of get a sense that it fits nicely inside of the C shape. So something like that. And so this should apply to any particular letter that you want to do. And when I'm done editing, I just need to click outside of the editing area, and that's the result I get. I can always go back to edit. I can double click and then move things around. If you want to change the text, I can always go back here to click on the warp text and click, and then try a different name, and that should kind of keep it within the C within the pad that we created. So let's go back to the original. And so that's how you warp the text to any particular shape. Now let's talk about adding the hole onto the hole for the earring. So I'm gonna change the attributes of this letter. So I'm gonna change the stroke to be blue. For no particular reason, I'm just gonna use it as a score maybe. And then I'm gonna change the fill to none. So then I'm gonna change the fill of the main letter to be gray. And I'm gonna explain this, I'm gonna explain why. So to create a hole on any shape, what you can do is grab a circle and then change the fill of that circle to white. And then make it the size that you want. You can either do it with the handles, or you could just change the scale to have a very specific size. So something like 0.1 could do. And so now I can place that hole kind of where I want it. And now I need to select the letter, just the outside letter and the hole together. So I'm going to use this window selection. And I'm going to apply this modifier in the modify menu called Flatten. So what this one does is that it takes anything that is the same color and joins it, and anything that is white, it makes it into a hole. So if I click here on the stroke result, you'll see that that's what turns into the cut. So that's if you want to add a hole that is simply on the existing shape. But let's backtrack a little bit, because sometimes you want to add a hole that is a little bit offset. So I'm going to undo these. I'm going to undo the flatten I applied. I'm going to ungroup these. And so, for example, if we want the hole to have like a ring surrounding it, the other trick I can use is I can change the stroke attribute to be the same color, that gray, and instead of a hairline, I'm going to uncheck this hairline box, and I'm going to change the alignment of the stroke to the outside. So as you can see, that creates like a ring outside of my hole, and then I can select the size of the ring by changing the width. So now that I choose something like this, what I need to do is connect this one to the letters. I'm just going to bring it down until it's touching. And now I can use that same trick, which is apply the flatten modifier. So I'm going to select the hole and the shape, go to modify, apply flatten. So that one turns everything that is gray into the same shape, into a cuttable shape, and anything that's white into a hole. So now I can go ahead and cut this one. So I don't know if you wanted to cut the letters here, but I cut an example. I can show you real quick right here. So it's just out of cardstock, but it should give you an idea of what it looks like. I did a score here because if I cut this font, the center of the P is going to fall out. But that's an option. You could also cut it. So okay, that's method number 1 for creating this kind of letter. The second method I thought I would mention is that you can always upload an image that you have, in case you wanted specifically the one you sent us, or specifically an image that you found. I'm going to create a new project just to show you that version. So let's go to File and New. So we start with a blank project. So I'm going to go to File, Import SVG or Image, and then I'm going to import that image I got. So this is just an image, so it doesn't give me a cut path. But there's an option to turn it into vectors by going to Edit and Trace Image. So I'm going to select that one. And now I can actually get rid of the original image, and now I have this compound path. So as is, I can actually use it, except I want to make some changes to it. So I'm going to right-click on compound path and then release the compound path. A compound path is a path that has whatever path is inside of another one, it turns it into a hole. So in this case, as you can see, all the letters inside of it are a hole, but that's not what I want. So I'm going to release the compound path. So now all the paths I can see here on the right, on the top right. So the one that is the main letter, I'm going to give it a fill again. And then the others, which are those inside letters, I'm going to change the stroke to blue. So I can kind of do the same operation I did before. So now I can use that same technique for adding a hole onto this letter. So I can grab a circle. I'm going to make the fill the inside white. I'm going to change the stroke to be gray and to not be a hairline stroke. It actually has the thickness that I want. I'm going to change the alignment to outer. And of course, we need to change the scale of the hole to be something more reasonable for this size, something like this. And now I can place it where I want it, something like that. And I can use the flatten operation to turn it into, to attach it and turn it into a hole. So let's select these two. So use the C and the hole, and then go to modify, apply a flatten modifier. It seems like the other letters disappear, but they didn't. They're just like kind of below this one. I'm just going to change the order by moving it here. So that's how you would do it if you just want to use the image. So I went ahead and cut a version of that one. So it kind of looks like this. Yeah, I didn't cut this one. I also use a score because the C, it's so close to the edge that then it wouldn't cut right. So yeah, those are the two methods. I think using this custom warp text is probably the most useful one. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Thank you for submitting the question.